tonight will be delivered by Bad Bunny, and it will be in 100% Spanish. All right, so I hope you're looking forward to that. That's the American spirit, right? So I'm Ryan. I'm Mike's oldest son. Many people call me Jack, but my dad calls me and has called me since I was a little boy, Goggy God. We prefer that you not use that. It's a special thing between me and him. And he can tell you the story of why Goggy Gog another day. We've got a lot to cover here, so we'll pass on that for now. I'm gonna bring up my daughter here in just a second, but the elephant in the room, I think, is what are we doing here? It's a kickoff, but the announcement was made just a few days ago that Dad is running unopposed. So it's pretty much a done deal. This guy right over here is going to be the criminal court clerk for the next 4 years. I'm taking from that, that's all right with y'all, right? You're good with that? Good. So this is kind of a kickoff slash celebration, like a pre-celebration. So thanks for being here. Let me mention Congressman Tim Burchett, Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton, Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs, Knox County Sheriff Tom Spangler, don't know if he's here or not, Blount County Sheriff Jimbo Barong, and of course former Knox County Mayor Mike Ragsdale. So Zinnia, my daughter, was watching President Trump's speech when his granddaughter got up to help introduce him. This was a year and a half or so ago, you may remember. She said, I'd like to do that. I'd like, if you think Poppy would be okay with it, I'd like to do that for him. So I called him and said, would you be okay? I said, I don't think I'm gonna have to twist his arm on this one. I don't think I will, but I'll just make sure. Are you okay with your granddaughter saying a few words before you get up to speak? He had to look at the speech beforehand to make sure everything that she was going to say was going to be nice about him. She is 16 now. She did not hit one curb on the way into the parking lot at Holston Hills. I'm so proud of her. 16 at West High School, she's a cheerleader, and here she is now to introduce her poppy, my dad, the next criminal court clerk for the next 4 years in Knox County, India.
Hey all, thank you for being here. So as my dad said, I'm Zinnia, and I have the pleasure to be Mike's granddaughter. So for those of y'all who know my poppy, you know he's one of the most humble men that you'll ever meet. He came from almost nothing, but he had something far more important: determination, heart, and big old dreams. When you look at the life he has built and the leader he's become, I think we can all agree that we need more people like him. My poppy doesn't run for this position for recognition or for a title. He runs because he loves his community with his whole heart. I've lived in Knoxville my whole life, and I can honestly say that I've never seen anyone care more about this community. From Saturdays at Neyland to the music and energy of Gay Street, he loves all of it. But what he loves most is the people that call it home. I've watched him work tirelessly, overcome challenges, and rise from the bottom to the top, not just through hard work, but through compassion and humble means. He is the kind of leader who shows up, listens, but most importantly, puts people first. And Knox County is stronger because of it. So today, thank you for being here, thank you for believing in him, and thank you for supporting a man who has dedicated his life to serving others. Thank you.
As Ryan, is Jack Ryan, by the way. If you listen to the radio, he does afternoons at Merle, is it 96.7? And so you might want to check him out, because I obviously think he does a great job. But anyway, Zinni had mentioned to me some time ago, she said, I saw Trump's granddaughter do something, and I'd really like to do something if you think that would be appropriate. And I said, absolutely. I said, the next time I do an event, I would love to have you come do it. I think that she has a future in politics. What do you think? I think she does have a So you have met my son Jack, Ryan. You've also met Zinnia. But there's some other family members here I want to introduce. My daughter Hannah is here. Hannah, she is a teacher at Cedar Bluff. Also, I call him my bonus son, Garrison Gramad. He's here. Garrison, you and those of us who are in politics, as you know, you've got to have that person who is with you through thick and thin, who will kick your rear end when you need it kicked, but also who is with you during the highs and the lows. And so that's my wife, Dawn. So, Dawn, thank you. There are a number of people here who are candidates for office. And so I want to say to each of you that are running, I admire you. I've been through it. You've been through it, some of you, and you're new to it. It's hard. It is not an easy thing. But thank you for stepping up. Thank you for being willing to put your name on the ballot, because it is not easy. And campaigning is hard. But thank you all for stepping up and wanting to lead Knox County. So for all of you who are here, thank you for being here. Thank you for stepping up and being willing to do that. She mentioned Mike Ragsdale and Mike Arms. I want to pay a particular attention to them. And the reason for that is this. In 2004, Mike Ragsdale was county mayor, and his best friend, Mike Arms, was on county commission and had become his chief of staff. Well, he couldn't do both. So they approached me and they said, would you be willing to run for county commission from the 5th district, because I lived there, and this is back in 2004, and I said, why would I want to do that? And they said, well, we think you'd be a good commissioner, and we would really like to see you put your name out there. So I went home, talked to the family. They said, well, okay, if this is what you really want to do. Of course, I was in radio at the time, and that was my focus. But I thought, okay, I'll run. Well, I won. And so then I won again, and I was on commission for 10 years, and now I've been your criminal court clerk now for, 12 years. And so it looks like it'll be 16. So I want to say that you can blame them for getting me involved in this whole mess in the first place. February 24th is today, and it's real important. And the reason it's important is because a year ago, I was at Sloan Kettering, New York. I'm sorry. Prostate cancer. We had made the decision that we were going to go to Sloan Kettering and we were going to have surgery. So a year ago today, we were at Sloan Kettering. We had the surgery. At that time, the doctor said that you're in great shape. Now, I bring this up, and I wanted to do it today because people ask me this question, how are you doing? Well, 6 months from February 24th, I did my checkup with Sloan Kettering. Things are great. Said, you're fine. Back at 6 more months, which was about a month or so ago, same thing. Did my checkup, you're doing great. I did a full physical with my doctor here in Knoxville back in December. He said, you're doing great. So ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today to tell you I'm cancer-free. I didn't think I'd get emotional about that, but I do. Gentlemen, get that PSA test. Ladies, you have a man in your life that needs to get that PSA test. The reason I'm here today is because I have been doing the PSA test for a number of years, and it was early detection. That was the key. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm healthy. That's why I'm able to continue on in public service. Make sure you get that. So, my public service announcement. So now that I am assured of re-election, I'm sure the question that you have is, okay, what are you going to do? You got 4 years. What are you going to do for us? I'm not going to give you my resume because You can ask me about that, and I'll be happy to tell you about it. But I want to tell you some of the things that are on my radar for the next 4 years for the criminal court clerk's office. First of all, technology. We're way behind on technology, not only in our office, but all across Knox County. One of the things that we're going to start in the next 2 weeks is a chatbot. Now, I need to tell you this. I'm the least technologically minded person in Knox County government. I had to pass a typing test to graduate from the University of Tennessee. We did not have computers. Now, you young people are saying, my gosh, you're old. Well, okay, but we didn't. So this is all new to me. But we're starting a chatbot. So when people go to our website, they're going to be able to say, hey, my name is Knox. That's our virtual assistant. What can I help you with? And they'll say, okay, I want to know my court date. I want to know how to make a payment. Knox is going to tell them all of that. That's one of the issues one of the things we're going to be doing for AI. The second thing that we're doing is AI. I don't understand it, but I know it's coming, I know it's here, and I know it's very, very important for us to move forward. So we're going to be looking at ways that we can utilize AI in our office to have more efficiencies and to just make us run better. Now, one of the things we have to watch out for is the state Supreme Court has not given us guidelines on AI, so we have to kind of wait on that. But as far as office operations, we can do that. The other thing, and this is down in the weeds, but it's important for you to know, the legislature has passed a law which says you will have a new statewide system. So we're working on that, and we hope to have that installed within the next year or two in Knox County. What that means is that if a judge is sitting on the bench in Knox County and he wants to find out if a defendant has a record in Lyon County or Wheatley County, he'll be able to do it at the touch of a button. Right now, we can't do that. So this statewide system is going to be next level, and that's something that we're going to be working on. You may have heard this. I know when I was on county commission, we were always saying, let's put property back on the tax rolls. What we have looked at in our office is, let's put people back on the tax rolls. Now, what we have done to accomplish that is we have started a driver's license reinstatement program. We found out that there were 75,000 people riding on the roads or driving on the roads in Knox County that did not have a license. Now, if you've had an accident and somebody doesn't have that license or they don't have insurance, you've got a problem. So we started a driver's license reinstatement program, and I'm proud to say that since we started it 3 years ago, we now have over 4,000 people that now have their license working with the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, as well as our judges, and we now are getting people back on the road. They're able to drive legally, because let's face it, they were driving anyway. So now they're driving legally, and they're able to go to work, church, and all of those things. That's real, real important. Also, we started a community service program. Now, we had to go to the legislature to get this approved. This was before COVID. Why is that important? People come out of court, and they owe a lot of money. They can't pay it. And we found that people were willing to do something to repay their debt to society, but we didn't have a mechanism in place. The legislature gave us the approval to do a community service program. I'm proud to say we have 200 people now who have completed the community service program. They work for nonprofits. They spend many, many hours working off their fines and their fees. And some of those people have actually been hired by the nonprofits, so now they are productive citizens. They are back on the tax rolls. I dare say that there's not a person in this room that has not been touched by mental illness, addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs. Everybody, whether it's your family member, whether it's someone in your community, your church, your organization, a co-worker, whatever. So one of the things that we did, and the county commission gave us approval, and Mayor Jacobs was very instrumental in helping us with that, we started mental health court. And I'm pleased to say that after a year and a half, we have 9 people who have graduated from mental health court. Now you may say, well, gosh, after a year and a half, 2 years, that's not a lot of people. But remember, this is a 16 to 18 month program. To graduate from this, you need housing, you need employment, you need to make sure that you're on your medications, and these are people that hopefully will not go back into the system and not have to come back in front of the courts. So we're pleased that we have 9 people now that have graduated from mental health court. But we also have drug court, we also have veterans recovery court, and so these are things that hopefully we can get people out of jail, and so that they're not spending our taxpayer dollars in jail, but they're out of jail and we're able to help them get back on their feet and become productive citizens. So we're really, really proud of that. You know, one of the things we like as Tennessee ball fans, and I'm a huge Tennessee fan, as you know, we like being number one. There's one category that we're number one in that we don't want to be number one in, and that is domestic violence. You may not realize it, Knox County has more domestic violence cases than any other jurisdiction in the state of Tennessee. More than Nashville, more than Shelby County, Knox County is number one. So to help with that, we started a program called The Bridge to Safety. And some of the folks here with the Sheriff's Department are here, and they work with us very closely with that. These are for the victims of domestic violence who can come in and we can help them through the court system. We can help them if they have to leave home quickly. Get them an Uber, get them a hotel, get them some type of assistance, whether it's food or diapers or seats, seats for their children. These are all things that are extremely important to people who are in a domestic violence situation. But I believe one of the things I want to work on in the next 4 years, I believe that we need a domestic relations court. Now, why is that important? Because right now, we have the civil side, which is orders of protection. We have the criminal side, which is assault and those types of things. And those two things don't always mesh. So people will come to the city-county building, they may have a case in criminal, they may have an order of protection. Well, the judges will say, well, let's let this play out or this play out before we can really, we want to get them together so that people can come and we can have one domestic relations court. We have these courts in the state of Tennessee, and they are extremely effective, and that's one of the things that I want to talk to our people about. Our goal is to work with law enforcement. We want to make sure that law enforcement can do their jobs appropriately, and that when people come and they need law enforcement, we can get them right to where they need to be. I have an extreme amount of respect for law enforcement because I see what they do on a daily basis. We work with them in the jail, we work with them through domestic violence, we work with them through the courts. I see things that you don't see. For example, a person will go out and they will go to a crime scene. They'll gather all the evidence. It doesn't stop there. They've got to come to court, whether it's a traffic stop or whether it's something more serious. So they have to put all of that evidence together. They have to present the case to the Attorney General, then they've got to go to court. Now and this is the way our system works, it's supposed to work this way. Those officers are going to be absolutely questioned like crazy. Did you do the right thing? Did you do the proper thing with your evidence? Was the evidence chain done? What about this? What about that? Was the warrant done properly? All of those things. The officers have to deal with that. Our office deals with that as well. So I see a different side of our police officers that I have a huge amount of respect for, because they have to go and they have to sit in that chair and be grilled by the Attorney General's office and by the defense attorneys, just to make sure that they can make a case. And so it's an interesting job. When I ran for criminal court clerk, people said, well, you're not a lawyer. And I said, well, I know that, but people told me you don't need to be a lawyer. You need to know how to run an office. So we've done a really good job with that, I think. The other thing that I want to emphasize to you that we want to work on next year is restitution. People come into our courts. The defendant owes restitution. They need to pay because they have committed a crime against a person. Last year, we were able to collect over $1 million in restitution and return it to the victims of crime. We want to do a better job of that. And so we're working on with our judges, and we're working on things that we can do to help improve that. So I'm glad you asked, what are you going to do over the next 4 years? I've kind of given you an idea, but some of our staffs here, they are the best clerks on the planet, and we work well with our judges. The judges are on conference this week. Some of them said, hey, I'd love to be there, but we have a really great relationship with our judges. We have a great relationship with people in the legal community as well as law enforcement. I think right now in Knox County, we are poised to really do some great things over the next 4 years. So again, for those of you who are running for office, thank you for running. We'll be following you. I must say that it's kind of nice to be able to sit back and kind of watch you and not have to be out there knocking on doors and putting up signs. I've done that, and I know how important that is. But again, thank you all for being here. If you ever need anything from me, I'm very easily accessible. And Zinnia, thank you so much for your kind remarks. And thanks to my family for supporting me through all this. And thank you all for supporting me through this as well. So thank you all for being here, and hope you all have a great evening.